Welcome back to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. Today we are going to talk about Leo season and Lughnasadh, or also known as Lammas or loaf mass. All right, let's do it. Welcome to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. I'm Kirsten, a mother and soul guide, and this is a space where your soul is witnessed and the frequency of your heart is felt. Together, we will have intimate conversations about the essence of life, the beauty of your soul's path, and our evolution as women and as mothers. Through channeled words, lived experiences, and the wisdom of nature's rhythms, the soul, and the sacred feminine, this is where the gracefully wild woman begins to rise. So I'm actually going to start with talking about the cross-quarter holiday, Lughnasadh or Lammas, and then we're going to move into Leo season just because there's a lot of things happening in the sky during Leo season, and there's going to be some interesting shifts and changes with the archetype of Leo and the energy that we're going to be seeing. And so I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that on the back end. So let's go ahead and talk about this cross-quarter holiday. So Lammas happens pretty much at the end of July or that first day of August. Officially, it lands when the sun is in 15 degrees of Leo, or sometimes it is celebrated on the full moon of Leo season. So there's kind of different dates depending on where you are in the world or where or how you celebrate. But either way, we're looking at around July 31st, August 1st. And so this was a celebration of harvest. Again, we are halfway on this date between the summer solstice and the fall equinox. And so we are actually at a point where the light is dimming. So it might seem counterintuitive because it's like, oh, this is the end of July. We're still like in hot season. It's the summer and kids are still out of school, et cetera, et cetera. But actually, at the time of summer solstice, when the light is at its peak, it's beginning to dim until we move to the point of equality on the fall equinox, when we have equal light and equal day. So in this halfway point, we actually are moving towards that equal point. So the sun is still warm, it is still bright, it is still sunny, but we're actually beginning to celebrate the harvest of life. And again, that might feel counterintuitive, like, oh, harvest is in fall. But this is the preparation season. And so this cross-quarter holiday is actually a celebration of looking back. It's also being in the present, and it is looking forward. And that's because it is celebrating all of the hard work of this season up into this point. And so that celebration, that presence comes from gratitude and really being appreciative of the abundance of your crop, of the earth, of all of the bounty that we have available to us. And so it begins to look slightly forward because this is a time in which, again, the light is starting to descend. And so ultimately, thousands of years ago, when we couldn't just go to the local grocery store, it was a time to make sure that you are creating a reserve of your food, that you are preparing for the upcoming season, that you are ready for there to be less light for your crops to grow, because that's what fall brings. And then ultimately, once you get into winter solstice, you are in that dark period. And so it is this interesting cross-quarter holiday where I really do feel like it is a reflection of all things. It is about the past, the present, and the future. And so it does have a bit of this triple goddess energy, this maiden, mother, crone. And in fact, Persephone and Demeter are often associated with this time. And those two together really bring about that triple goddess, right? The Persephone, the seed, the maiden, and then we have the great mother, Demeter of Persephone. And then ultimately, once Persephone is taken to the underworld, Demeter becomes this crone. And so we have this triple goddess energy. But it is a time in which we are looking at the bounty. We are celebrating the harvest. And so it is very much focused on like grain. Corn is a big one, wheat, hops, all of those different kind of elements that represent, like that fullness, that golden fullness of the earth. And yeah, so you will see those as being elements around this time. Again, wheat, barley, corn are all things that are very present at this time. So it is a time of collection. It is a time of gathering. Again, all of these celebrations or markers on the wheel of the year are always meant to bring us together. They're meant to bring us together in community. They're meant to bring us together with earth. And they are meant to bring us together to appreciate and honor life in its fullest form, whatever that might be, from the highs to the lows. And so it is always going to be that as we move through the wheel of the year. So traditionally, this time was actually, interestingly enough, a time that people would do trial marriages. There would be hand fasting. So hand fasting is, a ceremony where you are placing your hands on top of one another and you are fasting them together in partnership or in marriage. That is a traditional Celtic practice for a kind of marriage type of ceremony. And it was also this time of the trial marriage, I guess you could say, where you actually got to try someone on. Like, let's see if we can make this work. And it was always for a year and a day. And so the irony of that is it always brings me back to my legal practice. Statutory law, most of the laws that we live with today are based on statutes that are written by legislators, but they all originate from common law. And common law were these practices that were passed down that became kind of ritualistic. They became ritual in some way and essentially established some sort of norm in society. And so a year and a day is actually a legal principle that is still used in different ways. And it is essentially what creates this binding contract, a year and a day. Like, you get an extra day to decide if it's worth it. So yeah, it is something that still exists in different formats around the world, this idea of a year and a day. So, if you want to try out someone new for a new marriage, I guess this is the cross quarter holiday for you. So again, it's a time for gathering. It's a collection point and it's a reflection point. Collection and reflection. We're collecting our bounty. We're reflecting on the past, and we're also looking to the future. And so it really is this, this melting process that's happening. And yeah, it feels good. Like, hey, we're just going to do a check in with life. Like, let's do that. So, yeah, a great way to celebrate this cross quarter holiday is always going to be in community, just like any other. And of course, we are going to be in summer season. So, like, hello, barbecue season, whatever it might be. Maybe it's just a backyard gathering. Maybe it's something at the beach. Maybe it's at your home, whatever it might be. This is an opportunity to lean into community. Summer is really that time where we offer ourselves the chance to do that, to have more gatherings, to have more friends over, to find different ways to laugh and connect with our loved ones. So, again, a great way to celebrate this cross quarter holiday. And of course, if you can do so safely, having some sort of fire element is beautiful. But again, it's hot and is extra hot on Earth these days. And we do have fire season. So please be mindful and safe in whatever practice it is that you do. So maybe it's just, a battery powered something or a picture, on your TV or whatever modern life can bring you that we can respect and honor Mother Earth. I will say I don't love fireworks for a lot of reasons. So let's not go there, but find a way to just connect with that fire element during this season. And as I mentioned, it is a time in which the light is beginning to slow down. It is beginning to dim. It is beginning to give way to darkness. It is giving way to the feminine. And so there is a bit of this kind of duality that's happening because we are celebrating the bounty of our lives. It is often a time that we celebrate the mother. We are looking at the great mother. We're celebrating her, we're honoring her, Mother Earth in all of her greatness. And, that trickles down to us, our own inner mother. And the mother that we associate motherhood with, right? The mother that raised us or the person that we call mother. It is also our own motherhood journey if you have one. So, whatever it is to connect with the great provider, the great creatrix, the creator of life, it is a time to do that at this cross quarter holiday. And so, with that kind of feminine energy, that creator energy, we also are connecting with the sun. We're celebrating the Sun King before he moves into his slumber. It is a time in which, we really do want to honor the warmth in our lives. We want to celebrate that the sun brings us life on this planet. And without it, we would not have anything, truly. It would not be livable. And so the sun is something worth celebrating. And so we're honoring that masculine, that kind of father figure in the sky as well. So again, there's that duality, right? So that partnership, that marriage, that hand fasting, the moon and the sun, bringing them together in order to move forward into the next season. So, a few things that I wrote down as, kind of practices or rituals, or even things that you can bring into an altar would include, again, something that's, representative of fire. So, this can just be the color orange. It could be the color yellow. It could be a picture of fire. It could just be a candle that you don't even light, or matches, like a box of matches, something that just honors that solar power, that fire. It could be a crystal that's associated with kind of that element of fire. So, finding some peace to bring into your home or bring into your altar. And this cross quarter holiday of Lammas is also known as loaf mass. So, bread loaves, right? Like baking is actually a really beautiful thing to do to celebrate this cross quarter holiday. And so, you're baking bread and breaking bread. Hopefully, I said that. It's a mouthful. So, breaking bread is like sharing with your community. And so, bake a fresh loaf of bread and invite people over. I mean, there is nothing as good as warm, hot sourdough from the oven and a big old slab of butter. I mean, delish. Yeah, it's so good. So bake some bread and share it with your friends and your community. And kind of along those same lines, I actually just thought this was such a sweet idea. I was thinking about this neighbor that I had growing up and how he had this incredible orchard and he would always share his bounty with us. He would make these beautiful fruit baskets. He would go and pick the pears, the apples, the apple pears, whatever it was that he was growing in that season. And he would bring it to my mom and we would get to eat this fresh fruit. And it was so special because one, it was obviously like fresh, from his orchard. Two, it came from a neighbor. And three, it was just so filled with love. It was just so amazing. His name was Bob, it's like, and I remember his face and his smile and his offering. And so maybe that's something that you can invite into this season. It's a fruit basket, a basket of something that you can bring to a neighbor or a friend, or maybe it's to a party or, a barbecue. When you bring a hostess gift or a host gift, maybe it's this beautiful basket and it's fresh fruit from, your local farmer's market, or maybe it has honey in it or honeycomb or just some, fun, unique pieces. But just, I don't know, bringing the bounty together in a basket felt good to me. Yeah, so that's another idea. And this season is kind of, it's in between, right? It is this harvesting moment, but the fruit and vegetables are so juicy and so ripe in the summer season. And for me, the most potent memory that comes up during August in particular, and then, obviously during kind of Leo season at the end of July, is picking blackberries. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. There is an abundance of blackberries no matter where you go. In fact, people might call them weeds because they're incredibly difficult to get rid of once they are like rooted. But these fresh, juicy berries that just sit there and you can walk up and pick them and eat them right there. Or you can put them in a basket, take them home and make a jam, freeze them, make a pie. I don't know, berry season, like jamberry. Let's make jam. Let's make blackberry pie, blueberry pie, cherry pie, right? Like all the pies. I'm a fruit pie person, not a cake person. I'm a fruit pie person. So I just think this foraging or this kind of bringing the elements from outside to inside is such a beautiful practice during this cross quarter. So if you're able to maybe go to a berry picking farm or you have them just wild and growing, amazing. If you go to your local farmer's market or just even the grocery store, find an opportunity to do something with the freshness of berries in this season. And, baking a pie, you have a little bit of that bread element, right? And then you have the berries. So bring it all together. It's like yummy and juicy. And the last idea that I had to kind of, ritualize and honor this season is drying some herbs. So again, if you have an opportunity to ethically bring herbs from your environment wherever you live into your home and then hang them and dry them. You can create kind of like a little protective swag at the front of your door or anywhere around your house. Rosemary is a beautiful protection herb. So if that's available to you somewhere, obviously like lavender, and if you have other available herbs that just smell good and you can bring them into your home, and yeah, it's like this little blessing to offer the entryways of your home. So, like this hearth and home is a little bit present in this cross quarter holiday. Yeah. And like a corn doll, coming back to kind of the grain element and the different elements that we see with corn husks and even wheat or barley, whatever it might be, that is very much kind of this harvest energy. And so fresh corn, right? Fresh corn on the cob is delicious in the summer. And we're talking about things that are in season, right? Eating in season, living in season. This is the beauty of living in seasonality. And so if you buy corn on the cob, save those husks and make a little corn doll. And there's tons of tutorials out there that you can find, but it's very simple. You just, kind of bend and fold. It's very pliable. You wrap them around, you make some little legs, you make a little torso, and you make little arms, you make a little head, or you just, kind of keep it in a column and you make it simple and wrap it around and representative of the abundance of earth and that corn maiden and that corn mother. Again, this kind of maiden, mother, crone energy, this triple goddess energy is beginning to surface at this time. So, yeah, like that's another fun practice. And your kids can do that. It's like shuck that corn and make a corn doll, play with it, do something with it, make it into a star or whatever. It doesn't have to literally be a doll, it can just be some sort of figurine that you make. So, if that's an opportunity for you, it's a great way to honor this cross quarter holiday in this season. Okay, now let's drop into Leo season. Yeah. Okay. Leo season starts on July 23rd and it ends on August 22nd. So, first, I want to talk about the archetype of Leo and the energy of Leo season. And then I'm going to just talk about a few key dates that are happening during this Leo season that I think are unique and different and just really important to note as we are moving through this new collective consciousness. So, a Leo archetypally really is that king or queen energy. And it's not the like commanding king, like, do what I say, or, you know, the bad things, right? It's not that kind of king. It's the king that enters the room or the queen that enters the room, and they are revered not out of fear, but out of heart leadership, out of essentially moving forward as a leader, but with the same, on the same grain, considering the people. And so it is a bit of this tug and pull of individual and collective energy. But a heart led Leo, a heart centered Leo, is very much in a collective energy. It just tends to look more of like a byproduct, right? It's like an Aquarius, which is the opposing sign of Leo, is very much that's like the forward movement, the collective. It's always the collective, and it's never necessarily about the individual. Where from a Leo's perspective, it's about the individual, but ultimately, by that individual honoring their light and really stepping into their leadership, the rest of the collective follows. They are the ones that are getting the benefit. And so they have this natural attraction. They have a natural magnetism. They walk in the door, and quite honestly, you can almost always recognize some sort of Leo energy on someone. It's either how they present themselves, how they talk, what they wear, just like their radiant smile. They all have these like amazing, radiant smiles. Like they're just big and bold and beautiful, and they're giggly and sweet and fun. And they just, yeah, they're just attractive in like a magnetic way. So, that is really the Leo energy. They shine bright without doing a whole lot. They just being true to themselves. They are self-expressed. They are self-confident. They are like this creative life force, like really that fire that lives deep inside of us. When a Leo enters the room and they are embodying that, you can just feel the creation. Like, again, like you want to roar, like, let me roar like a lion, like, or a lioness. And so just that creative life force, like that courage, that ability to charge forward with heart. So this like self-love, this self-love just carries forward to everyone around. Like the aura of a Leo carries self love, and that love emanates to everyone else. And so, again, like a Leo on the different end of the spectrum might look like an ego centered leader, someone that's like almost like, I don't know, temper tantrum type of energy. Like, I'm not going to name names, but, people that have this like, pay attention to me because I'm important. That is a low end of some sort of Leo energy. Whereas again, a fully expressed highest self version of Leo walks into the room and they are instantly magnetic. They're instantly present. Everyone instantly wants to hear what they have to say. So there is this, sliding scale, this spectrum to Leo energy. And yeah, the archetype, again, it's just like king or queen. Like, are you truly loving your people and your kingdom? Or are you commanding? And so there's just a different energy that comes from either side of that. So that's the Leo archetype. And I actually have Venus in Leo. And so from the female side, again, there's like this queen energy, but it's less of like wear my crown queen. It's like at least, yeah, for this Venus and Leo. So again, like that feminine aspect, it's like this, I don't know, I want to think of like raw power, lioness, like prowling through, the grasslands. It's, again, one iteration has been said to be like an Amazonian type of energy of like just coming out. I almost think of like Pele in some ways, like that fire energy. And even the Hawaiian kind of hula dancing, when you are really in that full power, I see this beautiful kind of fire energy, this Leo energy come out. So, yeah, those are the vibes. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that are happening during this Leo season in particular, because they are important to note. So, by the time this episode drops, we will already have seen the transit of Jupiter moving from Cancer into Leo, and that happens on June 30th. So, this is a transit that lasts a bit more than a year. And so, we've been in this transit of Jupiter and Cancer, and now we're moving from Cancer to Leo. And so, Jupiter is the planet of abundance, the big visionary, it carries things forward. And so, Jupiter is really blessing Leo, aspects of your life and all of our lives. And so, I do think we're going to see this glow up in heart leadership. I think we're going to see this glow up in speaking from truth, but not from a like, I told you so kind of truth, from this place of really trying to birth something new into the world. Like, I'm in this for the people. We are part of the people. And I think that we're going to feel that flavor as we, move into the end of July and into August. So Cancer season and Leo season kind of straddling, because America is having its 250th birthday. We are going to have some hard aspects that are happening around that time. But we have Pluto in Aquarius. And so Aquarius, again, is the opposing side of Leo. So it's the opposing sign. And so, again, it's this collective vision in a different way. So the Leo energy is looking at self in order to affect the greater mass, whereas Aquarius is looking at the greater mass. And so with Pluto and Aquarius, we've been digging up some stuff. And so we are going to be working with this Aquarius Leo energy, right? This spectrum of what is we the people, what is the collective, and what is the I, and how do those fit together? How do they balance each other? How do they help and harmonize? And I say that because we are going to see a nodal change. The lunar nodes are going to change on July 26. So we are going to move collectively from a Pisces north node and Virgo south node to an Aquarius north node and a Leo south node. So I think that what we're going to see with this Jupiter and Leo happening, Pluto and Aquarius, and then this nodal change, we are going to see a movement away from that ego-centered leader, essentially. Like the guru, the like, I'm better than, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're less than, etc. And we're going to see the rise of the heartfelt leader. The heart consciousness is going to come to the surface. And so I really think this nodal change is going to accentuate this Jupiter in Leo in a really positive way. They're going to work with each other. And so we are going to work towards, again, more of that heartfelt leadership, but looking to help the collective and digging up what has not worked. Again, that Pluto energy, like the death and rebirth. We're digging up what has not worked for, at least for America and, maybe this world and society. Like, how do we move away from something in order to move towards something better? So that's, I think, a pretty big marker for all of us, and we are all going to feel it and see it. And secondly, we are going to have our full moon of Leo season, which is always in the opposing sign. So we will have a full moon in Aquarius. It is also known as the full buck moon on July 29th. So, just a few days after the nodal change, we're going to have a full moon. So we're going to feel that. Like there's going to be a huge transition happening during this time. And again, full moons are about releasing. They're about letting go. So when we're looking at Aquarius, again, I think we're going to come back to this Pluto and Aquarius energy. Like what has not worked and how we essentially bring the people together. Like, what has not worked and what do we need to get rid of in order to recreate, in order to regenerate, this new form of leadership. So I think this full moon is going to be really potent, working with the nodal change and Jupiter and Leo. And if that wasn't enough, friends, we are going to have a total solar eclipse, which coincides naturally with the new moon in Leo on August 12th. Okay, so this is a total solar eclipse. And if you are going to be traveling or located in Greenland, Iceland, or Spain, and I think parts of Portugal, there could be one or two other places, you will actually be able to observe the totality of the eclipse. So before I kind of dive into my own personal experience with solar eclipses, I want to just keep connected to all of these cosmic changes that are happening. An eclipse is a time in which one of our luminaries is essentially eclipsed. I mean, like, can't be more literal. It's shadowed. So the moon is going to be in front of the sun. And that means the light on Earth is obscured. It means the energy that is connected to the sun, so in this moment, it will be in Leo, is going to be obscured. So that heart leadership is going to be obscured. And I actually think that we might see some of these kind of old patterns surface in, kind of world leadership. Like the things that we're trying to get rid of is going to surface at this point because the light of Leo is going to be obscured at this time. And this new kind of heart-centered world, universe, society that we want to move towards is going to feel like it is in the background. And so that's going to feel difficult and hard. And eclipses do bring jarring energy. There are, lots of changes that happen. They're sporadic. And then we have Uranus and Gemini. And so look, we're going to have things happening. And so just expect some changes and shifts, but also expect old patterns to surface. And so when we work with a new moon, this is a time of an eclipse. And so it is a little iffy on whether you want to set new moon intentions, because eclipse energy is unstable. But I do think that with this particular new moon and this eclipse, I think it's important to center in on the Leo energy that we want to move towards. And I think we're being given an opportunity to do that before we arrive on August 12th, which is when this eclipse is happening. And I think we're seeing that with Jupiter moving into Leo. We're seeing the nodal change happen, and we are given a full moon before in order to really reflect backwards in order to move forwards. So I think that this new moon in particular, we are doing the work much earlier than we would be normally. Like normally we would be doing it around this new moon, but I think we are setting up to get to this point. So I do think all of these together, these events happening together in Leo season and the transit of Jupiter moving into Leo is really, really important this year. And it's something that you can work with. And so it's a time to connect with the archetype of the Leo and really understand how that sits within you. And if you want to take it further, look at your own chart. See where Leo sits in your chart, what house, what planets are, connected to it, and see how that influence might be showing up in your own personal life. So yeah, lots of things happening. And there is lots to work with. And I think this is just a really potent time. So, small digression is just to talk about my own personal experience with a total solar eclipse. So, I was incredibly fortunate to be able to witness the total solar eclipse in totality in 2024. So, I think it was April of 2024. We went to Stowe, Vermont, and we were able to witness the total solar eclipse. And it is such an incredible experience. If you have an opportunity to go see this eclipse or any other total solar eclipse, I highly recommend it. It is life-changing. And all I can say is that you really truly see and feel what I would, kind of resonate as outer space being like. And that's because, you're in this lead up of the totality. And so, the thumbnail is beginning to darken over the sun, and you're watching it with your special glasses, right? Like, use your protective wear. And although to the naked eye, you can't see that it's changing, you can only see it with your glasses before the totality moment. So everything around you is just going on with life. And so for us, we were like in this field at a brewery, and it was like, the kids were playing, and there's music, there's a band, there's food trucks, like life is just going on. People are laughing and connecting, enjoying each other, and we're all there to witness the eclipse. So this is all happening, and we're moving up to the point of complete totality. And when we arrive at that moment, when the sun is fully eclipsed, you can take off your protective wear and look at it. And I mean, what a sight. What a sight. It is truly, you can see like the solar flares coming out from behind this dark circle. And at the same time, life around you, not only are the people silent, and I don't think that this is, purely a moment of awe, because certainly when we have those moments, we go silent. There's some of that, but there was like this, the temperature just of everything went down quite literally. Like everyone puts on their jacket. You can feel how the earth, got very cool. And you went from being warm and bright and dancing to, I need my winter jacket. You could see the temperature, not only in like the actual like air temperature, but the energetic temperature completely shift. There's silence among the people. The birds stop chirping. The trees stop moving. The wind. It was just like, I don't even know how to describe it, like an outer body experience where everything stood still. Like there was no wind. And you could completely, look up and see this dark, circle and these solar flares coming out. And so it looked, around us like almost like a dusk type of time of day where it is, very lightly dark, but dark enough where it feels like dark. And there was just this silence, this complete silence, like everything stood still. And it felt like this door opening, this portal to space. And the noises that you could hear were no longer earthly noises. It felt like you were open to the solar system in front of you. So yeah, it really was life-changing, and I highly recommend it. I think it is one of those core memories that I know I will never forget. I hope my kids never forget. And it really is a moment of perspective of how small we are and how important and connected we truly are, and how important the sun is in our lives. So, and that's the beauty of Leo season, this beautiful sun, the ruler of Leo, the sun. And that is the energy that we are connecting with in this season, working with that bright light that lives not only above us, but within us. So that's what I have to share. I am sending you so many blessings during Leo season and all of these life-shifting transits. And thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. If you love the podcast, you love these episodes, please share with a soul sister, a loved one, a family member, whoever it is. Rate, review, give me all the yumminess. And yeah, sending you so much love, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you, love, for being here. May you walk forward guided by the wild wisdom of your soul and the truth of your heart. To find me beyond the podcast, you can join my newsletter at soulbabe.com for continual updates on offerings and other teachings, or subscribe to the Gracefully Wild Soul Substack. Until next time.